Your mindset is the foundation of everything you do. If you think small, act small, and see the world through a lens of limitation, your results will reflect it. Wealth is not primarily built through luck, inheritance, or even skill. It is built through perception, decision-making, and action. How you interpret opportunities, risk, and failure determines whether you climb to extraordinary heights or remain stuck in mediocrity. Broke mindsets are fatal because they shape behavior before resources even appear. A person with a broke mindset might work hard, but their hard work is misdirected, timid, and constrained by fear. Conversely, someone with a billionaire mindset sees potential everywhere, acts decisively, and leverages every resource at their disposal. People with a broke mindset are often obsessed with limitations. They see walls where doors exist. They focus on scarcity instead of abundance. They believe opportunities are rare, that wealth is a fixed pie, and that someone else's success somehow diminishes their own potential. This scarcity thinking paralyzes action. It generates doubt and indecision. They hesitate to start businesses, take risks, or invest in themselves because they are convinced failure will destroy them. They underestimate the size of the world's problems, the scale of opportunity, and their own capacity to generate solutions. In contrast, billionaires understand that wealth is not finite. Value creation is unlimited. Every problem is a chance to solve something meaningful, to generate massive returns, and to leave an impact. Their mindset allows them to see solutions while others see obstacles. Broke mindsets are defined by comfort-seeking behavior. They avoid risk, overvalue stability, and equate security with success. They cling to jobs, routines, and social approval because these provide the illusion of safety. Yet this comfort is deceptive. It masks stagnation. Comfort prevents growth, limits opportunity, and trains the brain to settle for mediocrity. Billionaires embrace discomfort. They understand that real growth occurs at the edge of fear and resistance. They take calculated risks, make difficult decisions, and endure the challenges that ordinary people avoid. While broke people wait for perfect timing, perfect conditions, or perfect confidence, billionaires act now, understanding that action itself generates clarity and opportunity. Fear of failure is central to the broke mindset. Broke thinkers avoid challenges, fearing embarrassment, rejection, or loss. Every hesitation is justified as prudence, yet it is often procrastination disguised as wisdom. Billionaires do not ignore fear. They act in spite of it. They understand that failure is feedback, not a verdict. Mistakes are learning opportunities, not reasons to quit. Each failure teaches lessons, sharpens strategy, and builds resilience. The broke mindset interprets failure as a personal flaw. The billionaire mindset interprets it as data. This distinction explains why some people remain stagnant while others achieve extraordinary success. Another characteristic of a broke mindset is blame. When outcomes are negative, they attribute failure to circumstances, the economy, other people, or external forces. This removes accountability from the individual and externalizes responsibility. Blame provides temporary relief from discomfort but eliminates control. Without accountability, behavior cannot improve. Billionaires own everything. Every mistake, every lost opportunity, every setback is theirs to address. Ownership breeds authority over outcomes. It allows people to identify solutions rather than remain trapped in problems. Broke people remain reactive. Billionaires remain proactive. Broke mindsets also think small. They set modest goals, aim for stability, and assume incremental progress is enough. They focus on surviving rather than dominating, on solving problems locally rather than globally. Billionaires think exponentially. They focus on solutions with massive impact, scalable systems, and opportunities that can multiply in value. Thinking small constrains imagination and limits leverage. Thinking big forces strategic action and opens doors to opportunities that ordinary people cannot even see. Knowledge alone does not create billionaires. Many people spend years learning, reading, and absorbing information but fail to execute. Broke mindsets often mistake preparation for progress. They seek certainty and understanding before taking action, yet certainty never exists in high-stakes opportunities. Execution multiplies ideas into wealth. Without it, knowledge remains inert. Billionaires understand this principle instinctively. Value action over theory, implementation over speculation. They fail fast, learn faster, and adjust in real time. A broke mindset overanalyzes. A billionaire mindset acts decisively, Finally, the billionaire mindset values leverage of time, resources, and people. Broke thinkers work linearly, trading hours for dollars or results. They underestimate the power of systems, networks, and influence. They limit themselves to what they can do alone. Billionaires understand that leverage multiplies effort. By building systems, delegating to competent teams, and using resources strategically, they expand impact far beyond individual capacity. A broke mindset sees labor as finite. A billionaire mindset sees opportunity as infinite. Changing your mindset is not optional if your goal is extraordinary wealth. It begins with awareness, recognizing limiting beliefs, identifying fear-based decisions, and confronting excuses. It requires action, thinking bigger, taking calculated risks, learning from failure, and holding yourself accountable. It requires daily discipline, choosing discomfort over comfort, ownership over blame, and growth over stagnation. Wealth is a reflection of perception and behavior. Broke mindsets produce predictable, limited results. Billionaire mindsets create massive, unconventional outcomes. If you want to join the ranks of the extraordinary, your first investment must be in transforming your mind. A scarcity mentality is one of the most destructive thought patterns when it comes to building wealth. It convinces people that resources are limited, that opportunities are rare, and that someone else's success diminishes their own potential. People with a scarcity mindset constantly measure themselves against others, worry about losing what they have, and focus on defending their position instead of expanding it. This thinking traps them in a cycle of fear, hesitation, and mediocrity. Billionaires, on the other hand, operate with an abundance mentality. They understand that value creation is limitless, that opportunities exist in every corner of the market, and that wealth is not a zero-sum game. Seeing the world through the lens of abundance allows them to act boldly, create massive solutions, and leverage resources in ways the average person never imagines. Scarcity thinking breeds fear. People who see limitations assume that risk is dangerous and that failure is catastrophic. Every decision is overanalyzed and opportunities are deferred or ignored because of imagined constraints. They hesitate to invest, to launch ventures, or to innovate because they believe the odds are stacked against them. This fear-driven inaction ensures that they remain small, trapped in incremental results, and constantly frustrated that they are not achieving more despite effort. Billionaires recognize that risk is an inherent part of progress, and they embrace it strategically. They understand that failure is feedback, not a punishment, and that calculated risk is the vehicle for exponential growth. People with scarcity mindsets often feel threatened by the success of others. They compare themselves incessantly, assuming that if someone else wins, they lose. This thinking leads to jealousy, resentment, and conservative choices. Instead of seeking collaboration or inspiration, they feel competition in every interaction, which blinds them to opportunities for partnerships, mentorship, and leverage. Billionaires, in contrast, celebrate success, both theirs and others. They know that collaborating with successful individuals, learning from their strategies, and leveraging networks can multiply wealth. They see someone else's success as proof that achievement is possible, not as a limitation on their potential. Scarcity thinking also fosters short-term thinking. People with limited mindset focus on immediate survival, instant gratification, or defensive strategies. They prioritize preserving what they have over creating new value, which constrains innovation and stifles growth. Billionaires think long-term. They invest in scalable solutions, systems, and ventures that may not pay off immediately but have enormous potential over time. They prioritize building leverage, whether through capital, technology, or human resources, because they understand that time and compounded impact are the greatest assets. An abundance mindset allows individuals to see beyond immediate limitations and plan for exponential outcomes. A scarcity mentality often leads to overcaution and indecision. Fear of making the wrong move paralyzes people. They wait for perfect timing, perfect conditions, or perfect knowledge conditions that rarely, if ever, exist. They analyze endlessly, but analysis without action leads to stagnation. Billionaires understand that waiting for perfection is a trap. Action itself generates clarity, feedback, and opportunity. By making bold moves and adjusting along the way, they gain more leverage and momentum than someone who waits indefinitely. Scarcity thinking keeps people stuck in the comfort of inaction, while abundance thinking propels people forward despite uncertainty. Resource management also reflects scarcity versus abundance. People with a scarcity mindset hoard money, talent, or opportunity because they fear loss. They invest conservatively, limit hiring, and micromanage. Their focus is defensive. In contrast, billionaires deploy resources aggressively to create more resources. They understand that smart investment, risk-taking, and delegation amplify returns. Money, influence, and energy are tools for growth, not objects to protect. An abundance mindset sees opportunity in every dollar and every connection, rather than fearing depletion. Education and knowledge can reinforce scarcity if applied incorrectly. Individuals with scarcity thinking often accumulate information obsessively but fail to act because they believe they must have complete certainty before moving. This overconsumption of knowledge without execution is paralyzing. Billionaires consume strategically. They learn what is essential, apply it immediately, and adapt based on results. Abundance thinking transforms knowledge into leverage rather than letting it become a mental trap. Scarcity also affects how people approach challenges. Problems are seen as threats that must be avoided or minimized. Mistakes are feared and obstacles feel insurmountable. This defensive approach limits creativity and reduces resilience. An abundance mindset reframes problems as opportunities. Challenges become chances to innovate, dominate markets, or create value. Failure is not an endpoint, it is a stepping stone toward mastery and wealth. The billionaire mindset treats pressure and adversity as fuel, not hindrances. Networking and collaboration are also filtered through mindset. Scarcity-minded people often operate in isolation, hoarding information and relationships to protect themselves. They fear being exploited or losing leverage. Abundance-minded people understand that relationships create exponential opportunity. They seek out mentors, partners, and high performers, knowing that collaboration multiplies outcomes. They give generously, understanding that wealth is not diminished by generosity, but enhanced by influence and reputation. Ultimately, the scarcity versus abundance mindset is a choice. While circumstances matter, perspective determines action. Scarcity leads to hesitation, fear, and mediocrity. Abundance leads to boldness, leverage, and exponential growth. Billionaires create massive value because they see opportunity everywhere, embrace risk, act decisively, and leverage resources beyond what the average person imagines. The mindset of scarcity guarantees limitation. The mindset of abundance guarantees possibility. To escape mediocrity and create extraordinary wealth, one must adopt an abundance mentality, think beyond limitations, and act with courage and vision. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that separates broke mindsets from billionaire mindsets. It is not the fear itself that limits people, it is the way they respond to it. Most people are controlled by fear, and fear manifests in countless ways. Fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of rejection, fear of losing money, and even fear of success. A broke mindset interprets fear as a signal to retreat, avoid action, or seek comfort. Every hesitation, delay, or half measure is rooted in this avoidance. Billionaire mindsets, on the other hand, view fear as information, as a guide to the areas where growth, opportunity, and leverage exist. Fear becomes a compass pointing directly to the actions that matter most. The problem is that fear often feels real and urgent even when it is based on perception rather than reality. People overestimate the negative consequences of their actions and underestimate their ability to recover or adapt. Fear causes analysis paralysis, leading to indecision, missed opportunities, and stagnation. For example, someone might dream of starting a business, writing a book, or investing in a new market, but the fear of losing capital, reputation, or comfort keeps them in a holding pattern. In contrast, billionaires learn to act despite fear and understanding that failure is rarely permanent and that the cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of a calculated risk. Fear also has a compounding effect when combined with the scarcity mindset. Scarcity convinces people that resources are limited and opportunities rare, while fear exaggerates the perceived dangers of pursuing them. The result is a paralyzing loop where potential is constantly deferred. Billionaires, however, neutralize fear through preparation, knowledge, and repetition. They run the numbers, analyze risk, and prepare for setbacks, but they do not wait for fear to disappear before acting. They recognize that action itself reduces fear because movement creates clarity and momentum. Another way fear affects broke mindsets is through comfort-seeking behavior. Fear makes people prioritize immediate security over long-term growth. They cling to routine jobs, safe investments, and familiar environments because these feel less risky. Yet this avoidance ensures mediocrity. Billionaires embrace discomfort deliberately because they understand that extreme results require extreme courage. They step into situations that feel risky or intimidating precisely because that is where leverage exists. Every major breakthrough investment or innovation involves confronting fear head-on. Fear also reveals hidden priorities and values. Under pressure, people with a broke mindset retreat from what truly matters because they are afraid of the potential consequences. Their choices are defensive rather than proactive. Billionaires, by contrast, allow fear to highlight the areas where they need to act to create impact. It becomes a diagnostic tool. The stronger the fear, the more potential leverage or growth is at stake. Learning to interpret fear correctly allows individuals to make strategic decisions instead of reactive ones. A critical distinction between fear-managed individuals and fear-driven individuals is preparation. Broke mindsets often avoid preparation because preparation feels difficult or exposes them to potential failure. They avoid stretching themselves because fear convinces them they are not ready. Billionaires, however, treat fear as a signal to prepare deliberately. They study markets, develop skills, and simulate scenarios to reduce uncertainty. This preparation does not eliminate fear entirely, but allows them to act with confidence despite it. Fear remains, but it no longer dictates their behavior. Fear also tests self-trust and discipline. Acting under fear requires reliance on your own principles, habits, and standards. When people lack self-trust, fear becomes immobilizing. They doubt their ability to follow through, make decisions, and recover from mistakes. Billionaires strengthen their self-trust through consistent action, small wins, and disciplined routines, creating a foundation that holds even under intense pressure. When fear arises, they act from confidence and conviction, not hesitation or doubt. In addition, fear exposes comfort-based thinking. People often rationalize inaction by citing external circumstances, yet fear is at the root. They avoid new ventures, delay decisions, and compromise values because the discomfort of uncertainty feels unbearable. Billionaires reframe discomfort as an investment in growth. They understand that fear signals the edge of their current abilities, and stepping into that edge is how skill, confidence, and wealth expand. Fear becomes a motivator rather than a deterrent. Fear also interacts with opportunity. Many individuals see risk as a reason to withdraw from potential gains, while billionaires see the same risk as a signal that opportunity exists. High rewards are rarely achieved without confronting fear. Every major success involves navigating uncertainty, enduring criticism, or taking a leap that most people would never consider. Fear identifies the areas where courage, boldness, and initiative are necessary to generate exponential results. Finally, mastering fear requires action, reflection, and incremental exposure. Avoiding fear ensures that it grows, controls behavior, and limits potential. Facing fear consistently builds resilience, self-trust, and confidence. Billionaires act under fear repeatedly, which desensitizes them to discomfort and strengthens their ability to handle greater challenges. Over time, what once seemed terrifying becomes manageable, and what once seemed impossible becomes achievable. Fear is not eliminated, it is harnessed. A broke mindset interprets fear as a stop sign. A billionaire mindset interprets fear as a guide. The stronger the fear, the greater the potential for growth and wealth. Acting despite fear, preparing rigorously, and learning from mistakes converts fear from a paralyzing force into a catalyst for extraordinary achievement. Those who master fear consistently outperform those who are controlled by it, turning hesitation into action, doubt into confidence, and risk into opportunity. Discomfort is the hidden engine behind extraordinary success, yet most people avoid it at all costs. Comfort feels safe, predictable, and easy, which is why a broke mindset is obsessed with it. They prioritize convenience over growth, stability over risk, and short-term pleasure over long-term gain. This obsession with comfort creates a life of mediocrity where goals remain small and potential untapped. Billionaires understand a fundamental truth: discomfort is the price of extraordinary results. They do not seek it for its own sake, but they embrace it because they know that every area of growth, wealth, and influence lies beyond the edge of comfort. The more discomfort you endure intentionally, the further you stretch your capabilities and the greater the opportunities you unlock. People avoid discomfort because it triggers fear, uncertainty, and emotional resistance. Tasks that are difficult, risky, or unknown naturally provoke avoidance. Most individuals allow these feelings to dictate behavior, choosing activities that feel easy instead. They rearrange their lives to eliminate tension rather than confront it. This avoidance seems rational in the short term, but it has devastating long-term consequences. Avoiding discomfort ensures stagnation. You never develop the resilience, skill, or judgment necessary to handle higher levels of responsibility, complexity, or wealth. Billionaires, in contrast, treat discomfort as a signal that growth is possible. They deliberately seek challenges that stretch their limits because they know the reward is proportional to the risk and difficulty. Discomfort also teaches discipline. Daily life in a state of comfort erodes self-control, patience, and persistence. People who avoid difficult tasks rely on motivation, luck, or external pressure to produce results. Motivation is fleeting. It disappears when resistance increases. Billionaires understand this, which is why they embrace tasks that require sustained effort and self-regulation. By repeatedly confronting discomfort through long hours, difficult decisions, or high-stakes projects, they condition themselves to act despite resistance. This repeated exposure builds mental toughness, focus, and consistency, traits that are non-negotiable in the pursuit of significant wealth. Another way discomfort drives success is by fostering resilience. Life, business, and wealth creation are inherently uncertain. Problems, failures, setbacks, and criticism are unavoidable. People with a broke mindset crumble under pressure because they have not developed the capacity to endure adversity. Billionaires, on the other hand, develop resilience through deliberate confrontation with difficult situations. They take on challenges that stretch their emotional and intellectual capacity, learn from failure, and adapt quickly. The more uncomfortable situations they endure successfully, the less intimidating future challenges become. This cumulative effect creates a feedback loop. Discomfort builds capability, reduces fear, which allows for even greater action. Discomfort also sharpens decision-making. Easy choices require little thought, but complex and high-stakes decisions force clarity, judgment, and prioritization. People who avoid difficult decisions defer responsibility and rely on chance, advice, or external circumstances. This creates inconsistent results and reliance on luck. Billionaires, by embracing discomfort, consistently make tough choices, weighing risk against opportunity, and acting decisively. By facing uncertainty and discomfort directly, they develop the ability to assess situations accurately, anticipate challenges, and implement solutions efficiently. This capability becomes a major differentiator between mediocrity and extraordinary achievement. Discomfort is closely linked to growth and learning. Most skill acquisition, knowledge expansion, and personal development occur outside the zone of comfort. Repetition of easy tasks produces minimal progress. Challenging oneself, enduring criticism, and tackling problems that initially feel overwhelming creates mastery. Billionaires consistently place themselves in learning-intensive, uncomfortable situations because they know growth is not linear or convenient. Every challenge, obstacle, and high-pressure environment becomes an opportunity to expand capability. Avoidance guarantees that potential remains dormant. Another critical aspect is that discomfort develops courage. Every time a person takes action despite fear, risk, or uncertainty, they strengthen their ability to confront similar situations in the future. People with a broke mindset flee discomfort, thereby never cultivating courage or self-trust. Courage is essential for high-stakes negotiations, investments, and entrepreneurial ventures. Billionaires develop it intentionally, understanding that bold, calculated action is the bridge between ideas and wealth. Discomfort also tests and strengthens priorities. In the absence of challenge, it is easy to drift toward trivial or convenient goals. Facing discomfort forces individuals to evaluate what is truly important and align their actions with long-term objectives. Billionaires leverage this principle, deliberately taking on projects or responsibilities that are uncomfortable but aligned with their vision. This selective embrace of difficulty ensures that energy is invested in high-value outcomes rather than wasted on mediocrity. The pursuit of comfort is seductive because it offers immediate relief, but it comes with hidden costs, stagnation, mediocrity, and regret. Discomfort, in contrast, produces delayed gratification, skill, resilience, and leverage. The trade-off is clear: short-term ease versus long-term freedom and achievement. Billionaires consistently choose the latter because they understand that temporary pain produces permanent advantage. Avoiding discomfort is a path to failure. Embracing it is a path to exponential growth. Ultimately, discomfort is a testing ground for discipline, resilience, courage, and growth. It is unavoidable for anyone pursuing extraordinary results. Broke mindsets flee it and remain small. Billionaire mindsets seek it and expand capacity. The degree to which you tolerate and embrace discomfort directly correlates with your ability to create wealth, influence, and legacy. Every uncomfortable decision, every high-pressure situation, every risk taken is an investment in capability, authority, and opportunity. Mastering discomfort is not optional, it is mandatory for anyone who desires to rise beyond mediocrity and achieve extraordinary success. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and results, yet it is the one quality most people avoid cultivating. A broke mindset believes that talent, luck, or timing will carry them to success. They hope that motivation will appear when needed, that inspiration will strike at the right moment, and that circumstances will align perfectly. I know billionaires understand that none of this is reliable. Discipline is the consistent execution of necessary actions regardless of emotion, comfort, or circumstances. It is the mechanism by which ideas are converted into reality and potential is transformed into measurable achievement. Without discipline, intelligence, talent, and ambition remain inert, like a car with a full tank but no driver at the wheel. People with broke mindsets often confuse activity with productivity. They fill their days with tasks, meetings, and minor obligations, yet avoid the difficult work that produces real results. They wait for motivation to strike before taking action, not realizing that motivation is fleeting and unreliable. Discipline, by contrast, does not require emotion to function. It is habit, structure, and pre-decided action. A disciplined person does not ask whether they feel like working, they simply work consistently every day. This separation of action from emotion is what allows billionaires to achieve extraordinary results where others struggle to maintain consistency. Another common trap of a broke mindset is procrastination. People delay the work that matters most because it feels hard, uncomfortable, or uncertain. They overanalyze, prepare excessively, or distract themselves with easier tasks. Each delay weakens self-trust, reinforcing a cycle of inconsistency and doubt. Billionaires break this cycle by creating non-negotiable standards and routines. They act immediately on priorities, leveraging momentum rather than waiting for clarity or inspiration. Action becomes automatic, habitual, and aligned with long-term objectives. Over time, this consistency compounds, producing results far beyond what casual effort can achieve. Discipline is also about control. People with broke mindsets allow emotions, cravings, and external pressures to dictate behavior. They surrender to laziness, temptation, and social approval, believing that willpower alone will be sufficient when circumstances demand it. Billionaires understand that self-control is developed and reinforced through deliberate practice. By structuring their days, establishing boundaries, and creating habits that enforce standards, they reduce reliance on fleeting motivation. Discipline to do what must be done regardless of feeling frees their time and energy for strategic high-value action. One of the most important aspects of discipline is delayed gratification. Broke mindsets prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term gain. They consume, entertain, and indulge in ways that feel immediately satisfying but erode potential. Billionaires embrace discomfort today for freedom tomorrow. They invest time, energy, and resources into efforts that may not pay off immediately, understanding that exponential results require sustained focus. Discipline allows them to defer gratification without resentment, knowing that each small sacrifice compounds into larger rewards. Discipline is also the foundation of credibility and self-trust. Every time you follow through on a commitment, complete a task, or adhere to a personal standard, you reinforce confidence in your own ability. People with broke mindsets often break promises to themselves, skipping workouts, delaying work, avoiding responsibility, and as a result, they become unreliable in their own eyes. Billionaires maintain internal integrity through discipline. Their self-trust allows them to take risks, make bold decisions, and act decisively because they know they can deliver on what they commit to. And execution under pressure is another hallmark of discipline. Life is unpredictable and opportunities rarely wait for the perfect moment. People with broke mindsets falter under stress because they lack the consistency to rely on themselves when stakes are high. Billionaires cultivate discipline precisely to act under pressure. By practicing structured routines, following through on commitments, and adhering to systems, they develop the ability to perform consistently even when challenges arise. This reliability is what allows them to capitalize on opportunities that would overwhelm less disciplined individuals. Discipline also determines how resources are leveraged. People with broke mindsets often squander time, money, and talent because they lack the structure to deploy them effectively. Billionaires, on the other hand, are deliberate in how they allocate resources. Every hour, every dollar, every team member is deployed with purpose and intentionality. Discipline is the guiding force that ensures resources multiply instead of dissipate. Without it, even the most abundant opportunities are wasted. Furthermore, discipline reinforces resilience. Life inevitably delivers setbacks, failures, and criticism. Those with broke mindsets often abandon efforts at the first sign of difficulty, interpreting failure as evidence of personal limitation. Discipline allows individuals to persist, adapt, and continue executing despite adversity. By embedding consistency into their behavior, billionaires are able to withstand pressure and continue progressing where others would quit. Each act of persistence strengthens the habit of execution, creating momentum that compounds over time. Finally, discipline separates the extraordinary from the average. Talent, intelligence, and ideas are common. What differentiates billionaires is the ability to consistently execute, day after day, month after month, year after year. Discipline turns potential into results, transforms vision into action, and converts ambition into measurable achievement. It is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is unshakable. The difference between a broke mindset and a billionaire mindset is not opportunity or intelligence, it is the discipline to act relentlessly regardless of emotion, fear, or circumstance. Mastery of discipline is mastery of results. Busyness is often mistaken for productivity, yet it is one of the biggest traps that keeps people stuck in mediocrity. A broke mindset confuses activity with achievement, filling each day with endless tasks, emails, meetings, errands, and trivial obligations. On the surface, it looks like progress. People appear busy, engaged, and responsible, but underneath, the work that actually moves the needle never gets done. This obsession with activity gives the illusion of effort without producing meaningful results. Billionaires understand that busyness is a distraction, not a badge of honor. They prioritize leverage, focus, and high-impact action instead of reacting to every demand or stimulus that comes their way. People with a broke mindset often seek validation through busyness. When every minute is accounted for, it feels as though they are contributing, achieving, and moving forward. But busyness rarely aligns with purpose. It is a reactive state where others, agendas, minor emergencies, or trivial tasks dictate the flow of the day. Meanwhile, the critical work, the work that builds wealth, influence, and opportunity is postponed, deferred, or ignored. Billionaires recognize this trap and structure their lives to avoid busyness that does not produce high returns. They distinguish between being occupied and being productive, understanding that effort without direction is wasted energy. One of the most dangerous aspects of busyness is that it breeds comfort disguised as action. Busy people feel productive and important, which temporarily satisfies the ego. Yet their behavior is often avoidance in disguise. They avoid difficult decisions, high-stakes projects, or uncomfortable conversations by immersing themselves in trivial work. This creates a false sense of control and masks the underlying fear of failure or responsibility. Billionaires confront discomfort head-on. They willingly take on the difficult, high-impact tasks that others avoid, knowing that the majority of value is created in areas of high resistance and challenge. Busyness also fragments attention. When people juggle numerous minor tasks, their focus becomes scattered. Deep, concentrated work, which is necessary to create systems, scale. Businesses or solve complex problems becomes nearly impossible. Multitasking, responding to constant notifications, and reacting to minor crises reduce the brain's ability to focus strategically. Billionaires protect their focus ruthlessly. They schedule uninterrupted time for priority work, delegate or eliminate low-value tasks, and avoid distractions that fragment attention. This ability to concentrate on what truly matters allows them to achieve exponentially more than those who are endlessly busy. Another way busyness limits results is by creating fatigue without progress. People who constantly react to emails, meetings, and trivial work may feel exhausted. At the end of the day, yet their energy has been wasted on low-value activities. This exhaustion is both physical and mental, leaving little capacity for critical thinking, creativity, or risk-taking. Billionaires manage energy intentionally. They invest time and effort where it produces the highest returns and protect their mental and physical resources for tasks that truly drive growth. They understand that strategic rest, focus, and prioritization are more productive than endless movement. Busyness also undermines accountability. When a person's schedule is full, they can always justify inaction on high-priority projects. I didn't have time becomes the default excuse for underperformance. This self-deception reinforces a broke mindset. Billionaires, in contrast, recognize that time is their most valuable resource. They allocate it deliberately, make high-value commitments, and ensure that essential tasks are completed first. By doing so, they remove excuses and build reliability and self-trust, which is critical for success. A further danger of busyness is that it delays clarity. Constant activity prevents reflection, strategic thinking, and long-term planning. People caught in busyness react to problems instead of solving them. They drift from day to day, making decisions without context, strategy, or foresight. Billionaires counter this by deliberately carving out time to reflect, plan, and evaluate. They use calm and stillness to identify opportunities, assess risk, and align actions with objectives. Busyness keeps people moving but rarely moves them forward. Strategic focus moves people forward while leaving busy work behind. Busyness also diminishes the ability to take decisive action. When every hour is fragmented by minor tasks, opportunities pass by because there is no bandwidth to act decisively. Billionaires structure their lives to maximize leverage. They delegate, automate, and focus on the few activities that produce outsized returns. They understand that high-impact decisions require attention, preparation, and clarity, which busyness undermines. By minimizing low-value work, they ensure they can act when it matters most. Ultimately, busyness is a comfort mechanism, an ego shield, and a trap disguised as productivity. It allows people to feel engaged while avoiding the difficult, uncomfortable, or high-stakes work that actually produces results. Broke mindsets cling to busyness, mistaking movement for achievement, while billionaire mindsets prioritize leverage, focus, and strategic action. True productivity comes not from how much you do, but from how much value your actions create. Eliminating busyness in favor of intentional, high-impact execution separates mediocrity from extraordinary achievement. Those who master focus, leverage, and prioritization escape the cycle of constant activity and produce results far beyond what most people imagine. Accountability is the cornerstone of extraordinary success. Yet it is one of the most overlooked qualities for anyone seeking wealth, influence, or personal mastery. A broke mindset avoids accountability. People with this mindset blame circumstances, the economy, other people, or even bad luck for their failures. They rationalize missed deadlines, poor outcomes, and stalled progress by pointing outward rather than inward. This avoidance creates a dangerous cycle. Without ownership, lessons are never learned, behaviors are never corrected, and growth is permanently limited. Billionaires, in contrast, embrace accountability in every aspect of their lives. They recognize that owning outcomes, both good and bad, is the only path to control, improvement, and exponential results. Accountability is not a punishment, it is power. The moment you take full responsibility for your actions, you gain authority over your life and your results. People with broke mindsets fear accountability because it exposes weakness. Owning mistakes requires humility, honesty, and self-reflection, qualities that many avoid because they feel uncomfortable. They are quick to deflect blame or offer excuses, which protects their ego temporarily but undermines long-term growth. Every time a person fails to take responsibility, they reinforce a habit of avoidance and limit their capacity to make meaningful change. Billionaires, by contrast, confront their errors immediately. They analyze what went wrong, accept responsibility, and use it as data to improve strategy, systems, or execution. This approach transforms failure into leverage rather than defeat. Accountability also fosters decisiveness. People who avoid responsibility, delay decisions, hesitate under pressure, and constantly seek external validation. They fear making the wrong choice because they do not trust themselves to handle the consequences. Billionaires cultivate accountability precisely to avoid this indecision. By accepting responsibility for outcomes, they develop confidence in their ability to act, adapt, and correct course when necessary. Accountability strengthens judgment and creates the capacity to navigate complex challenges with clarity and boldness. Another way accountability drives success is by creating discipline. When individuals know they will be held accountable for results, they are compelled to follow through consistently. Broke mindsets often rely on motivation or fleeting inspiration to produce results, which is unreliable and inconsistent. Accountability replaces reliance on temporary emotion with the structural mechanism for action. It ensures that commitments are honored, tasks are completed, and goals are pursued relentlessly. Discipline is the engine. Accountability is the fuel that keeps it running even when conditions are difficult. Accountability also builds trust, both internally and externally. Internally, when you take responsibility for your actions, you strengthen self-trust. You prove to yourself that you can follow through, recover from mistakes, and act decisively. Externally, people respect and rely on those who own outcomes. Billionaires understand that their credibility is built on consistent accountability. Investors, partners, employees, and collaborators all gravitate toward individuals who do not make excuses, because accountability signals reliability, competence, and authority. Broke mindsets undermine trust by avoiding responsibility, eroding relationships, and diminishing influence. High accountability also intersects with risk-taking. People with broke mindsets avoid bold action because the potential consequences feel overwhelming. They fear that mistakes will expose incompetence or invite criticism. Billionaires embrace risk because they accept full responsibility for outcomes. They calculate possibilities, prepare contingencies, and act decisively, knowing that accountability gives them control over recovery and adaptation. Owning results allows them to take actions others avoid, turning risk into opportunity and fear into leverage. Accountability also drives continuous improvement. Every time a billionaire evaluates outcomes, they ask, what could I have done better, rather than who is to blame? The reflective practice identifies weaknesses, strengthens strategy, and improves systems. Avoiding accountability, by contrast, prevents learning. If everything is someone else's fault, there's no opportunity for growth. Ownership transforms setbacks into lessons, increasing confidence in the likelihood of future success. Furthermore, accountability strengthens resilience. Life and business are full of setbacks, criticism, and unpredictability. People who deflect responsibility crumble under pressure. blaming others or external conditions. Those who embrace accountability confront challenges directly, adjust strategies, and persist. Over time, this creates mental toughness, self-reliance, and the ability to handle increasingly complex and high-stakes situations. Billionaires develop resilience not by avoiding failure, but by owning it fully and learning from it. Accountability also shapes priorities. When people avoid responsibility, they focus on what is easy, safe, or convenient. High-impact tasks, long-term goals, and strategic challenges are deferred because they carry risk and demand ownership. Those who embrace accountability, however, prioritize what truly matters. They focus on actions and decisions that produce measurable outcomes, knowing that ownership requires them to follow through no matter how uncomfortable or demanding the task. Finally, accountability separates mediocrity from extraordinary achievement. Talent, knowledge, and even ambition are insufficient without ownership of results. People with broke mindsets drift, fail, and repeat mistakes because they refuse to confront reality. Billionaires, by contrast, systematically take responsibility, learn from feedback, act decisively, and execute relentlessly. Accountability is not optional. It is non-negotiable. It creates control where others feel helpless, clarity where others feel confusion, and leverage where others see limitation. Mastering accountability is mastering life and results. Those who refuse to own outcomes remain trapped in mediocrity, while those who embrace it position themselves to create extraordinary wealth, influence, and legacy.